But Biden has nothing but disdain for millennials, right? So that's pretty much half the party now with in the Democratic Party. People forget Joe Biden is a horrible politician. He voted for the Glass-Steagall repeal. He voted for the Iraq War. He's for the surveillance state. Um, Lots of other bad things. He voted to make it harder on students with their loans. He voted in favor of Wall Street over students.
It's because we're looking for a handout.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just...
Millennials will be 40% of the electorate in 2020.
Vice Biden trashes millennials in his quest to become even less likable. This is from January 12th of 2018. But here's the video. Here's what he had to say about, you know how millennials, right? Everybody talks about they're the first generation who's not going to do better than their parents. And there's very little job opportunities. And remember, didn't somebody say, well, if I was a barista and I was 28 years old and I didn't have any job opportunities, I would want a revolution too? And a lot of people understand that the economy's not working for a lot of people. 80% of workers live paycheck to paycheck. Okay? 30 million Americans still don't have health care. Okay? You know that 43% of all homeless people have jobs? So here's what Joe Biden says to all that.
So the younger generation now tells me how tough things are. Give me a break. No.
That's funny.
Not like, I hear your problems. Yeah, that's what a politician's supposed to do. I'm supposed to listen to your concerns, and every generation has their own concerns, and he says that you got concerns, get out of here.
So the younger generation now tells me how tough things are. Give me a break. No. I have no empathy for it. Give me a break.
I have nothing. Fuck you. I'm not listening to you guys.
We don't like you either, Joe. We're not fans.
That's what he's saying to 40% of the electorate. No, I don't get nothing. I got nothing for you guys. Who says that?
Because here's the deal, guys. We decided we were going to change the world, and we did. We did. We finished the civil rights movement to the first stage. The women's movement came into being. So...
Oh, check.
Check. Change the world.
We've done it, everybody. You're able to enjoy equal rights, and you female millennials, you have more rights than you should have. So I don't want to hear it.
Everything's done. We changed the world. So is that him challenging millennials to go change the world? Like as if they're just sitting around complaining again. No, they're sitting around working 2 and 3 jobs, Joe, and they're also making their voice heard.
Not to mention,
so
they're in the endless wars fighting for the country.
Yes, they've been in a war for 17 years, those millennials. And what Joe Biden is saying is what he's making it out to be is those millennials are complainers. That's what he's saying.
Exposing how other political families have enriched themselves over the years, and it is fascinating. What you are so good at is following the money, essentially. Yeah. And now this new book, Secret Empires, profiles the Kerry family, the Biden family, and the McConnell family. So starting with Kerry and Biden, because those two are linked.
Right.
Explain what you found in the business connections and China and their government positions.
Well, it's really interesting, Martha, because there's this critical period from 2013 to 2016 during the Obama administration where the U.S. is engaging with China on the South China Sea.
Hundreds attended a rally in Vietnam Sunday that converged on the Chinese embassy in Hanoi. Protesters blasted China for its recent alleged aggressions in the South China Sea. Vietnam says a Chinese vessel intentionally cut a submerged cable of a Vietnamese oil survey ship last month while it was conducting seismic tests. The South China Sea is a major shipping lane and is believed to be rich in oil and gas reserves. It is claimed by several countries including Brunei, China, Malaysia, the Philippines, and Vietnam. China prefers to discuss disputes one-on-one. And until recently, Beijing appeared to be easing off in its assertions of territorial claims in the South China Sea. Heritage Foundation analyst Dean Chung says Beijing may be testing the waters with Vietnam or the United States. He points out China's actions follow a string of summits between China and the United States, including one between President Hu Jintao and Barack Obama in January.
On military challenges, on trade, on intellectual property. Joe Biden, in December of 2013, flies over to Beijing in Air Force Two. With him on the plane is his son, Hunter Biden. Joe Biden gets widely criticized for going soft on Beijing. Well, 10 days after they return, his son Hunter Biden scores a private equity deal for $1 billion. That's a billion with a B. It's important to note Hunter Biden has no background in private equity. He has not done business in China before. And he, along with a guy named Devin Archer, who's a close Kerry family aide, start doing these deals in China.
You probably heard about private equity partnerships like Mitt Romney's Bain Capital. But how exactly do these people make so much money? Let me explain the magic of private equity in 8 simple steps. Step 1. Partners in private equity firms don't risk their own money. They get other people to give them money to invest. Step 2. They use this money to buy up companies they think they can squeeze higher profits from. Step 3, they squeeze out higher profits by cutting the company's costs. And for most companies, the biggest cost is payrolls. So private equity managers typically reduce payrolls by firing workers or cutting other workers' wages and their health and pension benefits. Step 4, they also use the company as collateral to borrow a pile of money from banks. And since interest payments on this debt are deductible from company income, presto, the company shows even bigger profits. Step 5, they get the company to issue a special dividend to repay the original investors. So now everything else is gravy. Step 6, then they sell the company for much more than they bought it for because, hey, it's more profitable. Step 7, they pocket 20% of the gains from the sale. And finally, Step 8, because the tax law treats these earnings as capital gains, they pay only a 15% tax on them. This is a sham because the justification for lower capital gains taxes is investors supposedly risk their own money, and yet private equity managers haven't risked a dime. Worse yet, you and I and other taxpayers subsidize all this. When they fire workers, who has to pay more for unemployment benefits? We do. When they pump up company profits by deducting interest payments on all that debt, who has to make up for the lost revenue? We do. When they treat their earnings as capital gains and pay only 15%, who has to pay more taxes to make up the difference? We do. And then later, when some of these companies go bust under the weight of all that debt and their pension obligations have to be taken over by the federal government, who pays? We do. You see, the magic of private equity is really a magic trick, and it's played on you and me.
Ten days after they return, his son Hunter Biden scores a private equity deal for $1 billion. That's a billion with a B. It's important to note Hunter Biden has no background in private equity. He has not done business in China before. There are 2 other major deals that involve the Kerry and the Biden elements with China, 3 of them worth billions of dollars. And the argument that they are going to try to make is that this had no influence over policy, which to me is just ludicrous. Anytime you engage in commercial ventures with somebody, if we're worried about a $10,000 PAC contribution influencing a politician, I think we ought to be very concerned about billion-dollar private equity deals going to the kids of politicians.
Right now, we're talking about the Democrats are trying to find a new way to lose with a new guy who people like. Joe Biden. Joe Biden is out there on the campaign trail, and he says the rich are as patriotic as the poor. Oh, boy. Talk about an unnecessary statement. Hey, thank God somebody in power is out there sticking up for the wealthy. Am I right? It's about time somebody stuck their neck out for the powerful and the connected.
That is the most important talking point that's out there. Like, are the rich patriotic or no? Who's not concerned?
Stumping for Democratic Senate nominee Doug Jones, Biden said the former U.S. attorney grasps fairness when it comes to the issues of taxes. Doug Jones grasps fairness. I'm going to guess Doug Jones, not a progressive.
Solid guess.
Fairness means he understands how to give lip service to working people while really doing the bidding of the elite wealthy. That's what that means. That's what that means. He knows how to pay fealty to workers, unions, and fairness. In reality, we're bought and paid for. This is Joe Biden speaking. Doug understands about tax fairness, Biden told the crowd. Guys, the wealthy are as patriotic as the poor. I know Bernie doesn't like me saying that, but they are.
Just Bernie. Nobody else anywhere has a problem. Just Bernie. One dude. Just one guy.
Oh, Joe.
So you mean the wealthy who have hijacked our government and taken Mitt Romney's tax burden down below his secretaries? Those wealthy people? You mean those wealthy people? Which wealthy people, Joe? Are you talking about? Harvey Weinstein? Who are you talking about, Joe? Which wealthy people are actually just as patriotic? Which wealthy people? Who? Name one. I'm serious. Who are you talking about? Who is just as patriotic that's wealthy?
Look, the wealthy are just as patriotic as the poor. They just have no idea what the difference is between $12 and $15 an hour, as they can't fathom living on either, so they don't.
I'm a fighter. I'm going to fight for the common man. Wink, wink, wink. I'm going to fight for the common man. Wink, wink. Even though we've never done that in the last 30 years. So this is from Politico. They say you can see him sculpting a role for the 2020 presidential campaign that perhaps only he could get away with playing, the voice of anti-populism. Let me tell you something. He's not going to get away with it. Just because he's less hated than Hillary Clinton, or he's actually is likable when he talks, doesn't mean. Do you know that 4 years after 2016, the country's 4 years worse off? That the people who wouldn't vote for Hillary Clinton 4 years ago are now 4 years worse off, and they're not going to vote for a male Hillary Clinton or another female Hillary Clinton. Do you get this? So this is their big savior. Oh, Joe Biden gives the appearance of a working class person. So we'll have him be our new face of anti-populism.
What, is he going to get Nancy Pelosi to be his running mate?
So it's like that thing with Kamala Harris. We'll get Kamala Harris. She'll be just like Barack Obama, but better because she's a woman. And she'll push our neoliberal agenda, and then we'll freak them out with identity politics. And if we can't freak them out with identity politics, we'll go get Joe Biden, who talks like he's a regular guy. His name is Joe, like a regular Joe. And then he'll do our neoliberal bidding, and people won't be smart enough to see through it. When he goes out and stumps for how good wealthy people are in America while we're living in the biggest income disparity since before the Gilded Age, and his message is that be nice to the wealthy? Holy F. The Democrats are paid to lose. They are paid to lose. He recoiled at rhetoric often wielded by Senator Bernie Sanders and his acolytes that demonizes corporations. This is the Politico talking about Joe Biden.
Because, come on, they're people. They're just people. Joe gets it.
Joe understands that corporations are just people. They're regular Joe corporations.
Worked out great for the last guy that said that, by the way.
Corporations are people, my friend. We can raise taxes on... Of course they are. Everything corporations earn ultimately goes to people. So, where do you think it goes? What? Whose pockets? Whose pockets? People's pockets. Okay, human beings, my friend.
He's now aping Mitt Romney's platform from 2012.
That's right.
When are those corporations going to get a break? I feel sorry for them.
They've
really had a tough 40 years so far, raping and pillaging America.
Well, it's tough because we so unfairly put so many corporations in prison.
Yes.
Yeah, it really is. They don't get a fair. They have to open up all those offshore banking accounts. They have it rough.
Yeah, you can't swing a dead mortgage holder without bumming into a corporation in jail. Am I right?
That's right.
Some want to single out big corporations for all the... This is Joe Biden talking. Some want to single out big corporations for all the blame, but consumers, workers, and leaders have the power to hold every corporation to a higher standard, not simply cast business as the enemy. What are you doing? What are you doing? Who are you trying to appeal to? You're appealing to the people who are already going to vote for you, white suburbanites.
Hey, workers who don't have a livable wage, why are you blaming the boss?
If you're looking for someone who can simultaneously persuade the angry mobs to put away this is Politico talking. If you're looking for someone who can simultaneously persuade the angry mobs to put away the pitchforks and still bring white working class voters back into the Democratic fold, perhaps you found your answer in the pride of Scranton. Joe Biden, in an age of populism and anti-establishmentism, so much so that we elected Donald Trump, his big idea is go against that sentiment. Yay establishment. Yay neoliberalism. And I'll get those working. I just have to convince workers that rich people are nice and you should like them. Even though they're not invited to their parties and you can't have health care.